I'm never gonna feel this way about anyone else.
You're right.
I didn't expect you to say that.
There'll be others. But every time you feel love, it'll be different. Every time it's different.
Knowing that doesn't make it any easier.
It's not supposed to.
Set a course for love.
Ah, yes. One of your earth emotions.
Glad I found you.
Let's get married.
Delete the wife.
Welcome back to Deep Space Love, where a Trekkie couple, yours truly, Nicole, and...
Yours other truly, Joe.
that didn't pan out as well as I thought.
No, it was good.
Anyway, a married Trekkie couple discussing love on the final frontier. We are excited to come back. It's been a while since we've released an episode, but we are looking forward to discussing the episode we've got today. And that would be TNG episode, second season, episode 10. Fun fact that I just revealed to Joe, this episode actually comes right after Measure of a Man.
And what a follow-up.
It is quite the follow-up. It's very interesting, sort of the way that TNG can kind of bounce around with the topics that it covers. Anyway, if that did not clue you in, this episode is The Dauphin, which feels weird to say The Dauphin because Dauphin is a French word, so I want to say Le Dauphin. So yeah, I even said it more Frenchly, just adding the French article on there. Anyway, Joe, do you have a synopsis for us?
Yeah, I think I do. Hold on, let me pull it up. Oh, all right.
You weren't ready.
No, well, I'm giggling because when you Google it, you see a picture of the orangutan monster right away. All right, the synopsis for Le Dauphin. Was that right?
It was decent.
Thanks. The synopsis goes as follows. The USS Enterprise is assigned to escort a young girl, Salia, and her guardian to the planet she was born to rule. On the way, however, Salia has a chance encounter with Wesley, who is instantly and obviously smitten.
So, yeah, a Wesley Crusher kind of first love, teenage love episode, which I think it's a little different. I don't think we've discussed any like kind of young love like that yet. No?
No, definitely not.
No, I don't think so. In our like 5 episodes so far.
No, not in our 5 episodes.
So a little bit of new territory.
Can I just say,
yeah.
I'm impressed with your intro and how we just jumped straight into episode and no witty banter. You didn't ask me how I'm doing at all.
Well, now that just sounds cruel. How are you doing?
I'm good. I mean, I guess you saw me most of the day, so it actually doesn't make sense. But
actually, no.
For the sake of viewers,
we were working.
Listeners, not viewers.
we worked today, so we didn't see much of each other.
How are you?
This is our time together. Well, I'm 8 months pregnant, so...
So great.
Yeah, in some ways. We just had some delicious vegan peanut butter cup ice cream, homemade, so I guess that's one perk.
Okay. So what's the vegan homemade ice cream? What does that even mean for people listening?
Well, it's made with frozen bananas instead of ice cream. Basically, that's kind of where you get the cold, creamy texture blended with a little bit of vanilla and peanut butter. And then you chop up some of your favorite peanut butter cups and sprinkle them in.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good, by the way.
Yes, second time in a week we've had it.
Yeah, really, really good.
Maybe I'll have to have you post the recipe in the notes for the episode.
In the show notes, yeah.
Yeah, or on Twitter.
Yeah. Anyway, back to dolphins.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know why this episode is called that.
So it's actually a French word, right? It's like French royalty.
But it's French for dolphin. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Did you read something?
Well, kind of. I thought I heard something. I thought I'd read something in a long time ago past about it being like French for like royalty.
That doesn't sound familiar to me, and I'm the French minor.
Breaking news. Dauphin, title of the eldest son of a king of France, the heir apparent to the French crown, the heir apparent to this planet. Bingo, Dauphin.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, so I feel kind of good about that.
It's an interesting choice on the part of the French to have like the same word mean dolphin, like a marine animal, a marine mammal, I guess, as well as like the head of royalty, or the son of royalty.
The French are anything if bold.
Okay, so yeah, this is such a wild episode because there's like creatures and there's teenage love, and Guinan is in this episode, which is great. She's some of the best parts of this episode, honestly. We have Miles O'Brien in this episode.
You see like the back of Miles's head. Like I don't even think
Does he even speak? I don't think he spoke.
I don't know if he did. We're gonna get criticized for being wrong on that one.
Okay, I can deal with that. So Salia and her caretaker, I guess, is not her parent because her parents supposedly, I don't know, are they dead? Is that what they said?
Presumably. So basically the planet was in like this intense civil war, and her parents were from opposing sides, so it's sort of Romeo and Juliet-esque. And they gave birth to her, and she's supposed to rule the planet and unite the two factions, but they had her be raised some other place so as to be neutral. So when she came back, she wouldn't have either side's like biases, so to speak. So like, her parents are dead, but she's going with this caretaker to go. This caretaker basically acted as her mom, raised her, and
like a nurse.
Like a nurse, yeah. But she was, they seem to have like a close relationship. But they entrusted Starfleet to transport her back to her actual home planet where she's supposed to rule, which is an interesting reminder of how much of TNG is really just about transporting people.
Which in this case is interesting because I don't know. Once at the end of the episode, when you discover the kind of beings that they are and the powers that at least the caretaker, what was her name again? Anya. Claims to have, sort of like, did you really need Starfleet to escort you on a starship? Like, I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I think early TNG wasn't necessarily concerned as much with world building as just kind of doing some like cool, storyline episodes,
Okay, fine. That's fine.
Like, I mean, in universe, I don't know the answer, but I mean, I feel like, like now they're all like worried about like the mechanics of canon and like everything like that is more of a important point later down the road rather than those first couple seasons.
Touché.
But I mean, I don't know if that's the real answer, but anyway, just give me some thoughts. What did you think of the episode overall?
There are some highs and lows. I think based on the topic, teenage love, first love, especially with Wesley, I'm not sure that they really... the writers were entirely sure what they necessarily wanted with the Wesley character. So, I mean, he's kind of still in like an awkward stage. So there's, it's got that like awkward vibes kind of between them. But I also feel like it's kind of sweet. Like there's nothing, like it's like this like innocent, like first love experience, surrounded by, I guess, like the context of these aliens can like shapeshift, and that was kind of weird, like a strange decision, I feel like, ultimately. Although it sets up the whole kind of deception on her part to Wesley. I think that there's some really cool scenes, though. I really like the scene at the end with Guinan and Wesley. I think I like some of the lines exchanged there. I can't help but enjoy, just like shout out to the Riker and Guinan scene where, and I guess Riker's trying to show him how to flirt, Wesley how to flirt, and him and Guinan like role play, and it just kind of keep going. I don't know. You know the scene I'm talking about.
An absolutely delightful scene.
It's so delightful.
They're just staring in each other's eyes and complimenting each other. It's great. And they're like, it starts off as a role play, but you don't know, like maybe after a little bit it's not quite a role play anymore.
Yeah, they kind of just push Wesley away, and like it's sort of like, is this still an act, or are they just enjoying each other's compliments?
And Wesley's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Careful.
putting me on a pedestal so high you may not be able to reach me.
Then I'll learn how to fly. You are the heart in my day and the soul in my night.
I don't think this is my style.
Shut up, kid. Tell me more about my eyes.
Also, though, surprise, like, silver medal to the interactions and, I guess, I don't know if you'd say relationship between Worf and Anya. It was interesting how that kind of kept, like, coming up throughout the episode, and how they have a particular scene at the end where they part ways respectfully, despite the way that they've been kind of adversarial towards each other the whole episode, because she's trying to protect Salia, and he's like, I need to protect, the other people on this ship. That's my job. So, yeah. And I think, like, the creature shifting stuff is very interesting. I have some questions I might bring up later about some of that, but I don't know. I guess you've got romance and monsters and the stars. So what's not to love? I'd say it's pretty average, though. I mean, again, coming off The Measure of a Man in sequence, like, it's hard to follow up.
Yeah, it's a tough act to follow there. I don't know. I think this is when we went into this one, I not really remembered it at all. Like, I don't remember much of this at all. But watching it now, I actually really, really kind of enjoyed it. I know it's early TNG is really rocky, but there's this, like, weird charm to it that I appreciated, and I like how these earlier seasons really went out there with just some weird aliens, even though by today's standards they don't really work in quotation marks, because you can tell they're just people in suits and they're silly looking. But I like the effort. I like the monster suits. I was all about it.
Of course you were. I mean, as some of our listeners may recall, Joe is a host of another podcast called Frankenstein's Podcast, where the discussion is monsters. So, of course, you loved the monster aspect of this episode. It was kind of like your two loves all in one.
Right. Yeah. No. I was into that aspect of it. So the monster piece was cool. The romance part was surprisingly sweet. I feel like we've noted before that sometimes the romances don't come off very well, but I thought it was done well. I think Wil Wheaton did a great job. I think the guest cast did really good. The actress who played Anya, the caretaker, did a nice job at some points, giving off some almost like Kai Wynn energy, where she was like scary.
We didn't discuss this. I had the same
the same thought.
Yes.
But, like, she also brings this level of like compassion to the role that you're kind of like, okay, so I kind of get where she's coming from too. So she brings like more nuance to it in a sense, and I appreciate that. And, like, the fact that she's this little old lady who can transform into this, like, big monster and fight Worf is a very fun concept. And, like, her like you said, like, her and Worf's relationship almost like was one of my favorite pieces to that. Like, I love the moment when she's like a big monster, Worf is fighting her, and she's beating Worf. Then she turns back into old lady, and Worf is about to backhand her as old lady. Picard had to stop him. Worf, stop! Like, that was hilarious. Like, Worf was just about to wreck the old lady.
Okay, the being that was projecting as an old woman. Okay.
Still, Worf had no hesitation.
Okay, so launching into the monster as aspect. So I think what was, like, interesting to me is, okay, so they start out the episode and they're like, oh yeah, what species are you guys again? Which is like a kind of a weird question, like out of context, like humans. Yeah. Okay. So then they come on looking human. And then it's interesting that even in their own quarters, and maybe they thought they could be barged in on at any time, they don't take on their true form. And in fact, even though, like, they could accidentally be barged in on, they take on the form of these kind of, like, furry looking monsters, because in their quarters, Anya turns into kind of like an Oompa Loompa sized, like, little tiny, like, I don't know, bear, like,
it's like an
creature.
Oompa Loompa teddy bear.
Like an Oompa Loompa teddy bear when she is talking to Salia. And Salia stays in her human form basically almost the entire episode. But then again, like you said, when Anya is fighting Worf in sickbay, she takes on, like, this sort of, like, Bigfoot look, like, taller. The face is different. I think it's a totally different fur color. and then she comes back into like the humanoid form. And then later we see Salia also take on like the big furry Bigfoot type thing.
She's the orange orangutan monster.
Oh, orangutan-esque. Okay.
That's what it looked like to me, at least.
Okay. Yeah, so like there's no consistency in that. And then at the very, very end, we see when she's saying goodbye to Wesley, she turns into some sort of classic TNG energy being of some sort, or light being or something. So like it's just, I feel like there's like a lack of consistency with like, I don't know. I mean, it just boggles me. I don't know. Do you have any insight as to maybe the choice? I don't know. Coming from someone who enjoys monsters a lot in media, what do you think was the goal there?
Well, I mean, I think they're the design department's just trying to do something fun with monsters. But I think that in universe, the question as to why they're not their energy forms, I think the implication was that they were trying to be in a form that was like best adapted to the environment of the Enterprise, whether they're like humans or like almost sort of humanoid like creatures, like walking on legs and breathing air kind of thing. But like it seemed like the energy being formed, like when they did the readings of the planet, it was like inhospitable for humans. So they're like in a form that would fit better on that planet. So I think they were just like, well, we can adapt here and do this and just look like what they look like. And that's sort of maybe culturally is what they do when they like interact with other aliens. They try to look like something, I don't know, in a sense, pleasable to them. Does that make sense?
Okay. I guess, but just like when they were in their own quarters, like why even bother?
I mean, maybe it's just a comfort thing. Maybe like being in their true form is also not comfortable in that environment too. I don't know. Probably budgetary reasons, but...
Or maybe emotional. I don't know. I guess when she's trying to talk to Salia, Anya takes on like, again, sort of this like slightly more friendly, like a little Oompa Loompa teddy bear size and face, as opposed to like the bigger when she's trying to be intimidating.
Yeah. So I actually read a little bit about the visual effects. So like Dan Curry is one of the VFX supervisors for Star Trek, and he actually talked about one of the most interesting parts of this episode was the morphing technique. So how we saw like the characters morph into the monsters and change a little bit. And so this actually used a painted morph scene, a hand animated sequence from picture to picture. And he actually used the technique before in like working on the Friday the 13th movies, which was kind of interesting. But also the director did not like the monster costumes. He thought they were hammy and cheesy and silly, so he tried to minimize the amount of time they were on screen. And I think they wanted to focus more on those morphing, thinking that was like really cool tech, like, oh, look at this morphing shot we can do on TV kind of thing. So I wonder if the script actually had a lot more monster scenes.
Oh, okay. I mean, no disrespect. I mean, you can tell that there was a lot of work put into the design of the costumes or the creatures, and the morphing. I mean, I think that was done well for what.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the costumes are cool. I think they're a little cheesy, but I think they're fun. Like, I think that's one thing that you get in early TNG that not so much later on, where they really swing for the fences with the weird alien makeup and weird costumes. And I know like some of Star Trek is criticized for just having funky foreheads or funky noses or funky ears. But if you go back to some of these early episodes, they really have some weird stuff, and they try to make like kind of weird monster aliens.
And I appreciate that.
Same. So, did you have any favorite moments of the episode that stand out to you other than the Worf-Anya relationship?
Well, I also mentioned the Riker-Guinan scene, as well as
Yes.
the scene between Guinan and Wesley at the end. But I think also, I mean, overall, I think that I also thought this too is interesting, and I don't think this was like had anything to do with choices in writing, but the fact that, because this is the Pulaski season.
Yeah.
And so, Wesley's kind of going through this like first teenage crush, first relationship experience without, his father is deceased, but like, in every other season he's got Beverly to come back to for advice or, just to talk to, and he doesn't have like his mom to do that with. And so what ends up happening is he ends up going to most of the male crew members, of the bridge crew anyway, to get, I guess, advice and insight on how to pursue this relationship, to pursue Salia, and either talk to her and whatever, and how to kind of navigate this experience, I think. So that was something that kind of stood out. I almost wonder what would have happened, or how things maybe would have gone differently. Maybe if Beverly had been in this season and would have been there to guide Wesley through some of this stuff.
So for those of you who may not be as well adept in Star Trek TNG lore, we mean the Pulaski season is season 2 of TNG, and that means Gates McFadden, who played Dr. Crusher, Wesley's mom, actually left the show for the season and was replaced by Diana Muldaur, who played Dr. Pulaski, kind of took on not the same character but a different role. And she had actually previously been in Star Trek, the original series, too, which is kind of a fun fact. But for the season 2 of The Next Generation, she was the ship's doctor. And so, yeah, I think that is an interesting question, how this maybe would have played out differently, or how his actions would have been different if his mom was right there and available to him.
Not that Wesley did anything wrong, but...
No, it just could have been different.
Just could have been different. Let's see, who does he goes to? Okay, so we see him go to Worf for advice, which, is just comical.
Worf was great. I mean, we learned a little bit about Klingons. Like, he's like, what was it, like the Klingons bite, or the Klingon females bite and throw things? Or no, scream. There was a screaming, right?
I honestly don't remember. It's a very intense physical courtship.
Worf was clearly exciting himself describing it.
Yeah, it was not Wesley's cup of tea, though.
No, and Worf was talking about growling and throwing things, and the women throw things and the men read love poetry. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Men do not roar. Women roar. And they hurl heavy objects and claw at you.
What does the man do?
He reads love poetry.
And then he of course, Data chimes in and has, I don't think, the best insights on dating, but then he goes to Riker, which I think I would have went to first.
Yeah, even though Picard's sort of a bit of a father figure to Wesley,
Picard would be so uncomfortable in this situation. Picard would not handle it well.
I mean, frankly, the only time that they interacted was when Picard was like, honestly, you should just stay away from her because there's some drama going on.
Well, there's that moment when Wesley was all sad in the hallway and Picard just stares like, I should do something. And nope, leaves.
Yeah. He doesn't know how to deal.
He does not know how to handle kids.
I think, and then Geordi as well, mostly because Geordi can tell that something's on Wesley's mind.
Geordi had some decent advice, but also Geordi was super busy, reconfiguring whatever on the whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever was making them not go faster. It was the kind of plot contrivance to make them stay for a longer time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was busy figuring that shit out.
Although now that we're talking about Geordi again and whatever issue he was working on with the ship, it was very... the scene where Anya comes she's getting a tour of the ship and she's in engineering and she's basically talking down to Geordi okay, you're not doing this right, or you could be doing this better, and just sort of this gets on a high horse about it, and it's really weird, this weird posturing.
She did quite a bit of posturing. Yeah, she did quite a bit of posturing.
She basically insults Geordi and then tries to fight Worf. Basically, I mean, she really could have injured or maybe even killed him in her the big Bigfoot form.
Yeah, she could have. But I don't know. It was fun. It was a fun progression of talking to the crew members. Of course Riker's the one you go to, but that's the one they built up to narratively, going from the different crew members to Riker, and that was the fun one.
But was he helpful?
No, but he was the one that seemed to be the most adept in talking to the potential mates, basically. Potential mates, is that what you'd say?
Honestly, at the end of the day, even after he contacts all these, kind of fellow crew members whom he looks up to, ultimately he has to kind of just make his own decisions and be himself, which of course is, always, I think Geordi might have said that, just be yourself, and... Yeah,
Geordi said that. Actually, so Geordi had the best advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Riker's smooth talking, flirty, and just very like intense in a different way from which Worf is describing. And then Geordi's kind of that like middleman where he's just like, just talk to her, Wes. And then Wesley's like, what do I say? And Geordi's like, just talk, just say anything, just put words out.
Yeah. And Wesley like surprisingly had like a good date game, like starting with chocolate mousse, right? Special alien chocolate mousse, like a night on the holodeck, which he chose some really romantic scenes on the holodeck, which I imagine that there's got to be like a technique to choosing the right holodeck setting for a date, because I'm sure everyone goes to holodeck on dates, right? That's got to be like a go-to spot. But there's got to be like, oh, you chose this place on the holodeck, or oh, you chose this place on the holodeck. Like, this is different. There's different vibes, and he chose the latter of that. He like Salia was all about the choices, and then he ends the date with more chocolate.
Yeah, that was smart.
Yeah, he knew what to do.
He did.
Or
yes.
he just naturally fell into it. Like, he got it. He had it down.
He knew that like if you want to get someone's attention, you give them chocolate.
It's a big plus.
Maybe off screen he talked to Troy, who maybe suggested that, because we know Deanna wants her chocolate.
That would have been fun. Yeah, if we would talk to Troy and she'd be like, chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it was in the script and it was cut out. Who knows?
I did also kind of love their just like initial like meet cute that they did, where just I don't know, nerdily talking about a magnet.
Oh yeah.
And it was kind of adorable. Like, and she's like, who is that young man? And then like Wesley's like, who is that? Like that whole thing. They were just infatuated with each other, and it was kind of an adorable scene.
Yeah, I mean, so like one thing that she seems to, you're talking about the holodeck. One thing that she finds captivating about Wesley is the fact that he's on this ship, that's where he lives, and he gets to explore all these different places, because he takes her to places that he's been to, right? I mean, that's what
I think so.
He's going through places he's been, and he's describing like, the really cool things about those places, and like I think maybe what he did while he was there or whatever. And so like that's one thing that at least is captivating for her, who she's, and she explains that she's basically just been isolated on this one planet her whole life, and she has been essentially raised for this single, I don't want to say single goal, but kind of. I mean, it's interesting as we see Anya kind of being overprotective of Salia, and it's like, is she, is it a maternalistic, like, I care? I mean, she clearly cares about Salia, but at the same time, there's also this, like, I don't know, at least when she's talking to the crew, she puts on an air of, like, she is very important, and, like, she must get to this planet, in order to address these warring factions, and I don't know. So, you know what I mean? Like, she's been in, like, a glass bubble her whole life, basically, Salia. So Wesley's, like, adventurous, starfaring journeys are very intriguing and captivating. I mean, not that she doesn't find Wesley himself. I mean, obviously, like we said, he gives her chocolate, and like he's interested in what she has to say, which probably, she hasn't had anybody else to talk to also for like her whole life either, except for Anya. So, or nobody her own age, supposedly.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's no wonder there's kind of an attraction there, and I kind of like how it's not like a hard to get sort of thing, or there's like one pining over the other and the other one's not interested, like that kind of thing. Like, they're both into each other, and I kind of like that. It feels nice for a story like this, where like it would have been like, oh, Wesley's into her and she doesn't notice, or not into him, that kind of thing. That would have made it so much more awkward and uncomfortable. But the fact that they both like each other was interesting, and then it made the conflict all the more interesting, in that the Guardian, Anya, was trying to like be like, you can't see Wesley because blah blah blah, like it'll distract you, or it's, you'll get involved with stuff, or it might be dangerous. And so like it's a different conflict than you see in some of these romances, so I kind of like that.
Agreed.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I liked a lot of it. I think I saw like a note from like one of the writers said they felt like this was a a relatively conflict-free episode, and in a sense that's kind of true, because it's like the main like external crux is like the ship not moving right, because Geordi has to fix stuff, and otherwise it's like the romance and the love story, and like the sort of the bumps along the way, and the fact that it's sort of like not meant to be, unfortunately, because she's meant to go rule. And so it's like that. It's just like a first love story, but like with the sci-fi elements. So it's, I don't know, it's a fun small story, and actually feels, and some of the comedic beats too, like feels like something you'd almost see like a mirror of that now in Lower Decks, like these the kind of plots that Lower Decks is playing on. You know, like, oh, the ship doesn't work for such and such reason, and there's some goofy shapeshifters on board. You know.
Yeah, I could see this turned into a Lower Decks type story. Yeah.
This just feels like the types of stories that like Mike McMahon and crew are like looking to in TNG to be like, that's what we kind of want to bring to this and like update. So it's a perfect example. So if you're a Lower Decks fan and haven't watched TNG, you should watch this episode.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Any other fun tidbits, Joe?
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. So like the two characters, like Wesley and Salia, are meant to be kind of around the same age. But she was actually, the actress is quite a bit older than him in real life. It says, so I think you saw this too, but it was actually Wil Wheaton's first on-screen kiss. I don't know, was his first actual kiss? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
The actress Jaime Hubbard, who played Salia, but she was actually 10 years older than him in real life. And there's a kind of a cool quote I found from Wil Wheaton about it too. He says, quote, "I used to get a lot of mileage out of this joke I'd tell at conventions. The first girl that Wesley fell in love with turned out to be a shapeshifter who turned into an hideous monster, you know, after he had exposed his soul to her, which happened a lot to me in my personal life. And I was glad Star Trek was able to capture that parallel." Yeah.
We love Will.
We do. And it's kind of fun to know like the stories he's told about behind the scenes and how like truly it did feel like a family to him, and like how like nurturing like the cast was to him. And so like it, you know, like I'm sure like sometimes on-screen kisses or anything like that's really uncomfortable. So it's nice to know that, you know, I know Will had some struggles in his real life. It's nice to know that he had like such a supportive group of people like with him during all these scenes and just like in general. So.
All right. Do you have a rating for this relationship? This romance?
Well, it seems like you're ready. Why don't you start?
No, I think I always start. I think you should go first for once.
After you. Just kidding, I'll go. I was about to push it, but I didn't want to anymore.
I'm pregnant, you can't.
Okay, that's fair. I guess we can jump into the rating system. If you are new to our show, we do have a patented rating system in which we rate the romance in question based on many factors, but how do we feel about it in general, and what we think about the portrayal of a healthy love story. So in this case, I'm going to give it a full-on hard fascinating.
Fascinating.
A full-on hard fascinating. I'm not wavering. What do you? I'm just going
to word that differently.
You don't like it? Hard fascinating. Anyway, I didn't want to waver between, like, sometimes I've said in the past that it's like a fascinating verging on Yellow Alert, or a fascinating verging on like Resistance Futile or something, or like above, but like it's just like squarely there. I feel like it's fascinating because it's showing that first love, like we've talked about, and it's good. Like it doesn't feel toxic. I mean, there's some elements that I feel like could be done better. I think Wesley, I was a little bit annoyed with Wesley when he was mad at her for not revealing that she was a shapeshifter. But at the same time, like, I get it. I'm like, that would probably be frustrating, you know, like miscommunications, and like, you know, when they're young and new to all this thing, it's scary to reveal like elements of your true self to the other one. And so like when somebody like is finally coming clean with that, to treat them negatively, that's really hard for somebody. But at the same time, like, it's a really complex scenario, and Wesley does like come to his senses quick and be like, no, I don't want to leave on bad terms. So like, here's chocolate again. So, I mean, I appreciate all those elements, and it showed, like, I feel like that shows how messy those like first kind of romances can feel and be. But I felt like the messiness was never verging into like anything toxic or bad. Even though there was like secrets, of course, that were being held, but you know, it just never felt like negative. It felt positive and nice and cute. And I, like you said, I loved what Guinan said at the end when Wesley's sad about losing her. And she has to go rule her planet, of course, but he's like, will I ever feel love like this again? And she's like, no, you won't. But that's the beauty of it. Every love is different. And I feel like that, like you mentioned earlier, it's such a powerful, like, great, like, note to end something like this on. Like, it's okay for something to end, and it's okay for something to not feel like that again. So, full, hard, fascinating.
Oh man, you could just say fascinating.
Full, hard, fascinating.
Okay, I was really struggling with where to go on this one, which is why I made you go first, because I wanted to know where you fell a little bit.
Ulterior motives.
I mean, I kind of had already made my decision, but I think I'm at a yellow alert.
Yellow alert.
I know like a lot of the things you just pointed out was that it was a young, early love, and like, you know, I guess the point you made about like sometimes, you know, you don't show your full selves, and like it was a very fleeting romance, of course, so they didn't have time to really talk too much about some of those things and like who they really are, I guess. It was kind of a bit of a surface level infatuation, I suppose, but I guess it's tough ultimately. Like, I think, yeah, I had mixed feelings about when she ends up having to sort of reveal that she's also a shapeshifter, which I don't know why Wesley didn't like maybe consider that, because they found out early on that Anya was a shapeshifter. And so did they just like think that they were a different species? I don't know. Really, nobody really asked that question. And Wesley did know, right, that Anya had that shapeshifting ability. So I don't know why he didn't maybe piece together that possibly Salia might. I mean, I guess it's not like he asked and she said no and then she had to like go back on that. So, but there was like, it felt slightly deceptive, I suppose, but maybe just from like us as the viewer knowing really what's going on. And then it is hard at first, because it's like, when he finds out, and you can tell he feels sort of betrayed and frustrated and sad, and I was trying to work through, is he just sad because he feels deceived? But then like, why? Like, is it because she doesn't actually look like this, like, you know, adorable, like teenage girl with like long, pretty hair? You know, so is he disappointed that like, essentially like, you know, is it because she's not who she says she is, or that she's been saying that she is, or because like her looks are different than what like he had thought all along, like, which I feel like can be somewhat, it can be a toxic thing, you know? I mean, I haven't really experienced online dating, but, you know, sort of like, oh, like, you know, the way you look in your profile picture is not what, you know, the person I met for dinner kind of thing, or like, you know, you look so different, and sort of feeling betrayed by somebody. And I don't know, it's a weird gray area, and I'm not really sure how to like interpret, you know, but ultimately, like, I feel like Wesley redeems himself in that he decides to part on good terms, and of course, you know, bring more chocolate, and so he kind of ends on like this like better note, you know. And I mean, I guess there had to be some sort of conflict between them in order for there to be, you know, for there to be kind of something there to write about, as opposed to like everything going super smoothly for them and that kind of thing. I don't know, and it's hard because like she at some point, you know, I mean, hanging out with Wesley and seeing all of the things that he's done in his life, and knowing, you know, what's to come for him is all of these exciting adventures and making his own decisions and seeing all these cool places. And, you know, she starts to realize that she's probably not going to get to do that. And so Salia, he starts to question her role in coming to this planet and trying to bring peace to factions that have been at war for apparently many, many years. And so, I mean, that's a lot for like a young person to take on. And so you can understand that I don't know, it's unfortunately, it kind of like, it's sort of bittersweet in that it kind of gave her this like little bit of taste of like what the universe or the galaxy is kind of like beyond her home planet, or what it's going to be like. But at the same time, you know, there's nothing she can really do about it except, again, I guess sort of from the other side, like, sort of like fleeting experience that she, just kind of has to understand is going to end or is not like for her, I guess. I don't know. Does that make sense? Did I ramble? I think I rambled.
No, it's fine. I think that makes sense.
You furrowed your brow. I don't know what you're thinking. You have thoughts.
No, you're good. I think that was interesting. Yeah, I think that, I guess I think you're thinking yellow alert like in a long term sort of thing. Like it's not going to work, right? I was
trying not to. No, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I don't want to think about it in like long term. I mean, okay, so it was short, and in that time, I mean, like how much of it? I mean, a lot of it was good, but there was also this like kind of weird thing that happened where like she turned into like an orangutan and like fought her like caretaker nurse person, and like without any warning. I mean, I don't know, if I turned into a fucking orangutan, wouldn't you be like, whoa, what?
I'd still love you for who you are.
Okay. You'd have some questions though.
I mean, questions, but yes, there's some red flags there, but
just minor red flags, I guess. I mean, I don't know. No, you're trying to convince me it is like a little bit more fascinating, I guess.
Kind of, yeah. I think so. I think especially just because it's not like it is so so short.
Okay, here's this too though. Is like, again, I'm wondering what the substance of the relationship, even though again it was fleeting, and I'm not saying that it had to like work out long term. That's not what I'm saying. But like, I mean, like all that their relationship contained, in the time that they knew each other. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. Again, I said like she was kind of fascinated with like Wesley's life, and like I feel like he was fascinated with her looks. There.
I see.
Okay, so I feel like there wasn't enough substance for me to like really put it to fascinating, because it was like a 5-hour relationship.
Fair enough. I mean, obviously, yeah, he was definitely attracted to her at first, like that.
I'm not saying that's bad either.
But also, to be fair, I think the attraction was upped because of how fascinated she was by the magnet.
What?
By the magnet in the beginning.
Oh,
she was
so you're saying he likes her brains and her beauty?
Yeah, she was, because at first he was like, "Oh, she's pretty," and like, "Oh, she likes the magnet." So, like, double points.
Double points.
Yeah. So I don't know. Give Wesley some more credit.
I will say one last thing is I wonder, and this is when I was coming up with my rating, I also thought about this. There was also the fact that there was a lot of interference from the adults on both sides. So obviously Anya was very intrusive and was trying to snuff out the light of this candle of romance as it was just getting sparked. She was trying to stamp it out. So there was that, plus, and then ultimately because of like the drama she's created, Anya, Picard has that, talk with Wesley about like, essentially kind of like, I think it'd be best if you don't see her. So I mean,
don't want to create a diplomatic incident.
Yeah. So with the adult interference in the relationship, I mean, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't have been so, I don't know if maybe I wouldn't have felt like that. I think I would have leaned more towards fascinating, if like they would have been able to experience the relationship on their own terms without the adults interfering, I guess, maybe. Sure,
fair enough. On that note, actually, I think it was interesting that scene when like Salia sort of escapes. You know what I'm talking about? Like, not escapes, but like leaves Anya and comes back to Wesley and says like, "I know we're not supposed to see each other, but I wanted to see you one last time." And they have that first kiss. Remember that part? Like in my head, because I didn't remember this episode, I was worried that scene that Salia was actually Anya in disguise as like Salia to like be like, "Hey, I'm here to break the rules," but like, oh, and then she's gonna be monster and be like, scare him off, like, "Don't you dare come near her again," kind of thing. So I thought there was gonna be a twist there, like before, like, right? Like I thought that was gonna be the twist, but then like Anya bursts in and becomes a monster on her own anyway. And then that's when we see Salia become the orangutan monster thing.
Also, okay, quick mention. Anya was like, "You got to kill that guy that like Pulaski's treating." And it's like,
oh, yeah.
That was bad.
That's what led to her first fight with Worf.
Yeah, it was a bit overkill too on her part to
Yeah.
be like, oh, she could catch this virus. Like,
Yeah, she was basically Anya was visiting sickbay and saw this guy who had a virus, but like it was like a 0.0 some percent chance that it would spread or something, and so she's like, no, just murder him because we got to keep Salia safe.
yeah, that was a bit uncalled for.
That was the Kai Wynn energy.
That was the Kai Wynn energy. Yeah. For those who don't have quite as much, haven't watched as much Trek as we have, Kai Wynn is a character from the series Deep Space Nine, and she's often an adversary.
Yeah, and she's played by the wonderful Louise Fletcher, who's also an Academy Award winner. So the character's played really well and had a lot of time to develop, and is just like this perfectly kind of evil character, but
kind of like Umbridge.
Yeah, like an Umbridge character.
Yes.
And I'd say the Anya character in this is falls in a similar lane.
Look at that! Did you see how I brought in some references in this episode?
Yeah, we hadn't had many, so
Yeah, you're welcome.
awesome. So, one thing that we didn't really mention, we talked a lot about how the characters shapeshift. We actually didn't talk about their species. They're called elastomorphs. Remember that term?
Is that their species, or is that just a term for people who can like change their shape?
It's a great question, and I don't know the answer, but Pulaski in the episode refers to them as elastomorphs, and she says something about how they are in this like medical journal somewhere. But there is a Memory Alpha entry for that word, and it refers to a vaguely humanoid anthropomorphic shape-shifting species once thought to be only a rumor capable of altering its molecular structure into that of other species. So I think the Memory Alpha is referring to this specific species of shape changers, but that could be a general term. I'm not sure.
Oh, I guess when we were watching the episode, I thought it was more of a general term, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It was foggy.
It does bring up so many canon questions too. Like you're saying, like we mentioned the canon references are just because they weren't thinking about it or considering it as writing staff as a long running franchise. But like, how is Starfleet involved in this transport? Like, if they don't know, like, is the nature of the society secret in Starfleet? Like, does the Federation know? And they're like, oh, we can't tell the people doing the transport. Or does the Federation not know who these people are, or like who these this race is? Like, they don't know anything about it. They don't know that, like, how they work even. And so, like, why is the Federation even involved? If it's a Federation member world, you'd think they would know a little bit about what that race was, right?
I mean, the two factions of the species are warring, so I don't know when they would have had time to like get themselves together enough to even like be part of the Federation.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of questions there, and so maybe
But they're supposed to be a neutral party, though, right? That was the whole point.
Federation's a neutral party. Yeah. And I guess maybe diplomatically, like, they're kind of like, oh, we're gonna lend our aid, and that could be like a stepping stone to maybe once you guys get your act together, you can join the Federation.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of sort of what they almost did with Bajor in Deep Space Nine, where they kind of set up and help out until they're on their feet, and then like, oh, then you can petition for entry. So I don't know.
I think going back to that term elastomorph, I mean, basically, you know, it's a species that can change its molecular structure to human. I mean, like, there's a lot of different. I think my thing is that there's a lot of different species essentially in Trek universe that have that capability. I mean, the Suliban. I mean, I guess that was genetic modifications, but like the changelings. I mean, like, how many different episodes are there in the franchise where, you know, there's a species or characters that can turn into somebody else?
There's the salt vampire.
The salt vampire, yeah.
Yeah.
One you just did on Frankenstein's podcast.
Yeah, there's a lot of different species. So
I don't know. It's not like that unique of a property. I mean, ultimately they're what I assume was the true form that she takes right before she transports at the end, Salia, sort of this like energy light being. She kind of looked like a humanoid rainbow, honestly.
Yeah, which was cool. I mean, it's very Trekkie in that they're always they always have some sort of energy being in like early Star Trek was like energy races or non-corporeal beings. That's the phrase I'm looking for.
Yeah. Although, I mean, going back to what I said about like Wesley being really captivated by her looks, I mean, he also was very captivated by that form as well. He just didn't like the orangutan look.
Which fair. I mean, it's a scary look.
And she was trying to be scary in that scene.
She was trying to be scary, yeah. So it's okay to say that.
Intimidating, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wesley was definitely intimidated.
She was absolutely intimidated. Do you have any final thoughts on this episode before we wrap up?
No, I mean, it's a hell of a first love, I guess.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. No, I thought it was a good episode. I totally, like I mentioned before, thought this going into this was going to be a campy, kind of dumb one. And it is definitely campy. But it's a campy, fun one. I liked it.
Yeah, I think the same thing. Like, I couldn't remember some of the finer points of this episode until we watched it again. And I agree that there's a lot of kernels of, like, great lines here and there and just some sweet moments and, yeah, impressive things.
Yeah. Hell of a follow-up to Measure of a Man.
True, yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. It might as well be something like this where you go from debating the rights of sentient androids to teenage love.
Yeah, no,
teenage romance.
They've done kind of a good job of doing that sometimes, where they follow a heavy episode with kind of a more chill episode, or even more of like a personal introspect. I keep thinking of the one where, like the two-parter where Picard becomes the Borg, and then followed up by that family episode where he just kind of deals with the consequences by seeing his family.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's so nice to follow up that, like, such a big epic scale storyline with just a small personal family storyline. That's what it makes me think of. So I don't know. There's some wisdom to that. I guess that's what I'm trying to say with that.
Assuming that this was like on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. Production order, have no idea.
Yeah.
So
right.
Anyway, yeah, no, good stuff. I think before we wrap up, though, I think I don't know if I'll have this out by September. I don't know if this is a September episode technically, right?
Yeah.
We try to do monthly. So if anyone's listening new, the goal of this podcast is to release one episode a month if we can. We are both independently quite busy, especially this time of the year, so we do our best. So apologies that we didn't get one in September, but we have our incredible backlog of 5 episodes you can go back and listen to.
And also welcome to some of the new followers we recently gained on Twitter. We kind of just had a surge of new followers on our Twitter, which is @DSLovePod. So if you haven't yet followed us, please do. And if you are now listening, if this is your first episode, after having just joined, welcome. And thanks for following, and we hope you stick around.
Yeah, folks. So hope to hear from you. If you like this, leave us a nice review, drop a comment, anything like that. So stick around.
Yeah, even if this doesn't get up by September 30th, which is tomorrow.
It will not.
In a few hours, which probably won't. It'll be at least within the first couple days of October, and we're setting up something else to record in October as well. So
yeah, so you might have 2 in October because of the lack of one in September.
Yeah, well, September's got like 30 days only, so it's kind of missing a day.
Right, that's the reason we're late.
Yeah,
solely the reason.
Yeah, if you had an extra day, you could definitely get it done.
It's true, actually.
All right. Thanks, DS Love followers. Until next time, love long and prosper.